Wowzers! 300% plus move? Stick around. Find out how you could potentially find a SPAC that could do this move itself. Stick around, guys. Hit that thumbs up. What's going on, SPACs Attack family? It's good to be with you. It's always great to be here. We have some loyal fans, like always, already hitting up the chats. If you're brand new to the show, say hello. This is where we talk everything SPACs. So, of course, these are the longer term investment approach that we're taking here, but we're going to definitely get you the information that you need to be traders out there. Yes, we saw that stock move over 300%. We're going to talk about why potentially this is happening in a pattern that Chris has been pointing out for weeks and months now. So pay attention, guys. Stick around. Let's go ahead and bring on the brains to this show. Chrisopedia.
Hey, what's going on, Mitch? How are we doing today?
Hey, it's good to be with you. Definitely good to see everybody in the chat. I see Sue, Gabriel, Diane, Kindred, Duke. What's going on? Amirzing is in the house. Born to be free. What's going on? Yes, you know it. The one and only Money Mitch and Chrisopedia taking over here. Going to talk about SPACs have been making big moves. But before then, of course, like we like to do, we're going to get into some headlines. This is where you get all the headlines in SPAC industry. The one show that's taking this everyday approach to knock out the SPAC industry. Chris, take us back and teach us what's going on out there, man. Let us know.
All right, guys. Yeah, not a ton of news out there for SPACs. Once again, we did have a smaller deal announced this morning that we'll get into. And then also, as Mitch said, we're going to get into that high flyer this morning and talk a little bit about a new trend happening in SPACs that people should definitely keep on watch. So without further ado, headlines up first, we have VLDR, that's Velodyne LiDAR. The company announcing a multi-year sales agreement to provide its Pluck LiDAR sensors to Renew Robotics. No financial terms disclosed on this, but RenewBot is a fully autonomous all-electric mower that helps solar and energy facilities cut cost, time, and carbon emissions. So Velodyne LiDAR getting a new deal for its LiDAR sensors. As we see with all these LiDAR companies, always important to note when we get some deals in that backlog. And then we got earnings today from eToro, going public with ticker FTCV. So the company announced 2.6 million new registered users, up 121% compared to the second quarter of last year. Total commissions of $362 million, up 125%. Net trading income of $291 million, up 136%. Company added 10 new cryptocurrency assets in the recent months, including Dogecoin and Shiba Inu. So two notable new cryptos added, which could mean we actually see continued growth in the next quarter. Also launched the eToro Academy and Education Hub and sponsorship. They announced a sponsorship with 25 football teams, including teams in the EPL and Bundesliga. So trying to get that brand awareness out there, continued in Europe. And then eToro's Americas business was 12% of funded accounts. That's up from 6% at the end of the second quarter last year. So the U.S. launched in 2019, but remember, it's currently limited to cryptocurrency and copy trading. So I have to say that I think the number of subscribers that grew was due more, in fact, to the crypto offerings than the copy trading. I think we're at a point with retail traders where, you know, people want to pick their own stocks. So I don't really think the copy trading is the growth area for eToro. I think the crypto assets in the US, and then as they add the individual stocks, hopefully later this year. Then we have Matterport, MTTR, recently de-SPACed. Company announced open beta launch of Notes, which is a conversational real-time team collaboration, communication, and file sharing tool directly inside the Matterport platform. So remember, Matterport allows you to take a 3D video of your home or of a building, a museum, a sports stadium, and they're adding some collaboration efforts now. I think that could see some business adoption here. So Matterport, performed quite well going into the SPAC merger vote, and it's one that continues to show, some good signs of life and trading over the $15 mark. This one has shied away from hitting that $10 floor, and really has shown that it is a good SPAC moving out of that process. Then we got news from Lucid Motors. So CCIV, so the company announced today that the limited run Lucid Air Dream Edition will be produced in 2 versions, the Dream Edition Performance and the Dream Edition Range. So this is new from the company. The vehicles differ a little bit with horsepower and then the range capacity. So the Dream Edition Performance, horsepower of 1,111, and the Dream Edition range 933. And then the difference of 475 and 517 miles for the range. Company said that they're contacting Dream Edition reservation holders shortly to update their configuration and find out what their preferred version is. Both remain at the price of $169,000 or $161,500 after the U.S. federal tax credit. In September, the company will host media tours of its factory in Arizona ahead of customer deliveries. Deliveries of both versions will begin later this year. So not a lot of new items out there, right? We talked yesterday about what's next for Lucid. There was some hints at the number 4 and some pictures. And here we just kind of get the 2 different models, the price point, which we already knew, and then saying that they'll be doing some media tours in September and then deliveries later this year. So all that follows the current timeline that they had laid out. So I don't see a ton here, with today's news to really get that excited about. But I would say that there's definitely the catalyst of when they do those media tours. Obviously, they're going to get some press out of it. They're going to get some reviews. They're going to get some comparisons to Tesla. So that could be an item to watch in September. And then the deal we got announced today, ticker ACBA, Ace Global Business Acquisition, announces a merger with DDC Enterprise. So DDC is a digital publisher and merchandiser running the brand Day Day Cook, which is one of the leading content-driven lifestyle brands in the Asian markets. They have ready to heat, ready to cook, and plant-based food products. They also have over 3 billion video views and over 10 million orders worldwide. So they use their e-commerce platform. They use their media division to help drive brand awareness. They launched plant-based products to address the rising demand for healthier foods in Asia. Deal values the company at $300 million. Again, this is one targeting the Asian market, a food one. Not a ton of news out from the company. And again, we've seen Asian, especially Chinese stocks get hit hard. So for now, I would remain on the sidelines of this SPAC deal. That's what I've got for headlines and that deal, Mitch. Anything jumping out to you? I mean, anything on that Lucid news? Nothing really new, but I do think, we're going to see the stock definitely in the spotlight in September and October with those media tours and the possibility of deliveries. But we're still probably a month away from this thing really getting the catalyst, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be watching to see what happens with that release. If anything really is different. And right now it's just on a sideways trend. So we can't really say that there's anything that it's reacting positively or negatively. So right now it's just kind of a push headline for me. One of the things that made it more of a push was that deliveries would be later this year, Not no specific time frame. Not no. We're gonna have it out in November 21st. No, it's just later this year. What does that do? Is it gives them time frame, right? At least it's in this year, but when is it coming out? I think that specifically is what was being looked for and not given in this headline.
Yeah, good point there. And, it's one of those things, right? As companies, they complete the SPAC process, they de-SPAC. You do want to have a news cycle, right? And even if it's not the most exciting news, maybe providing an update like this or putting some news out, I mean, it keeps your company relevant, right? It gets you trending. It gets that PR out in front of eyeballs. So again, while I don't find it that exciting, and again, I do own shares of CCIV in my long portfolio, but it just didn't do a ton for me to really highlight the upcoming catalyst of those media tours. And again, the big question everyone wants to know is, when are deliveries happening? And I think at this point, Lucid's going to shy away from saying when the deliveries are going to happen, because they don't want to, overpromise and under-deliver in this case, because obviously shares could see pressure. And yeah, so we're getting the note there. So the S1 filed last night. The pipe now gets unlocked. It looks like apparently September 1st is what I saw, reported by some good sources on Twitter as well. Remember, this was a huge deal, right? And this was a huge valued company. This was also a big pipe, right? The pipe was done at $15 a share instead of $10 a share. And we could see some selling pressure there as some of the pipe shareholders decide to unlock and sell and take profits. I mean, at the end of the day, if you bought into the pipe at 15, you're profitable, right? This thing's still trading over $20. You could, instead of waiting for the deliveries to happen in the next catalyst, you could sell and take your profits, and that will, cause some selling and, on the larger float. So definitely to keep on watch there, the S1. So good call out there, Toner Man in the chat.
Yeah, something to keep on watch. I will keep watch. I've been talking about the support right underneath it. Is it holding here, or is it going to break back up, or is we going to break the support? That could very much come with the pipe sells there. So just pay attention. We'll see what happens in Lucid. All right, next up, let's go ahead and let's take a look at our watch list, see what's moving out there. Of course, we have our top mover that we're going to get into, LWAC. I promise we'll get into that. But first things first, I want to look at what's moving out there right now. So SNAX, not a bad move, 6.5% move. Why do you think this one's getting a nice boost today, Chris?
I haven't seen any news on this one, but remember, this is the one I've been talking about going into the NFL season. They do have the investment and the partnership from Justin Herbert. Maybe they get some, new marketing out of him. Oh, it looks like we did get an analyst note this morning. I'm now seeing Cohen and Company $12 outperform. So there's your reason right there why shares are up. So $12, and we're at about $7 right now. I mean, that's a decent, upside according to this analyst. So again, I really think if you're Strive Foods here, you lean on those partnerships, right? You've got Channing Tatum and Justin Herbert as investors, as partners. I want to see more brand awareness, right? I want to see those commercials on TV, get the word out about your products. And, I think that this thing could help.
Let's keep going down the line. We got next up, we got Mark Forge Holdings bouncing back. Came multiple times to this $8 level, really bouncing from that level. Is there any news out? Let's see if we got anything here.
The only thing I've seen on this is the continued buying by ARK funds, right? This has been a favorite of Kathy's. Obviously Kathy has not shied away from 3D printing stocks, right? ARK even has a 3D printing ETF. And there's multiple 3D printing stocks to choose from. And Mark Forged has been one of her favorites. So the fact that she's adding to this position may just show, some, a bullish case for that one over some of the rivals there.
One of the things that I've been looking at, and it's been talked in the chat now, is we're talking about Solar wants to know about NAV redemptions. Save that question. We'll get right back to it when we get into LWAC. Solar, I've been seeing you from this morning. We'll talk about it, specifically what you want to hear. We'll get to it. All right, where's Chamath? Suzax, and I agree with you.
Yeah,
Where is
Chamath,
he? He's hiding.
he's been so quiet, and we got those 3 new biotech SPACs. I haven't heard anything, really since those were released, and obviously we still have IPOD and IPOF out there. And then also the deals that he's been, a part of the pipe of. He hasn't released any new one pagers. We just really haven't gotten any updates from him. He does have the All In podcast. He has been talking about, continuing to make investments in, environmentally friendly climate change, companies, but that doesn't necessarily mean via SPAC either in this case.
All right, so what are we seeing other than that? Moving with DKNG continues to push on up. We talked about gambling all day yesterday, so I'm not going to go too in depth in that. But another nice 4 or 5% move today, getting up there towards what? My original price target that I was giving out before, which was 60. Now it's in the 59s. It's gotten up above that today. Had a high of 59.47. We'll see if it gets to 60. Romeo bouncing back after the news, of course, after their earning and gap down. The question is, where's it heading? Honestly, I would not even take a guess with Romeo. I would more long just probably leave it alone. AVPT really bouncing back from the bottom here. What are you thinking here, Chris? Is this a time for AVPT, or do you think we still got a little bit of chop zone?
I think this is the time. It already got a couple analyst notes. I think it actually might get more. And it also looks like our friend TJ, who was on the show not too long ago, has actually been buying shares up of AVPT. So you have the CEO of the company saying, hey, why are my shares trading under $10 below net asset value? I will go ahead and buy those shares. I like that. I think that's a bullish sign. And I think, the person that knows the company best betting on the company's success, especially, with, the Microsoft partnership and those analyst notes. I mean, I think AVPT is done bottoming out, but that's just my opinion. But we'll see.
Definitely something to keep a watch because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's in a trending area with cloud. One of the things that should definitely get a lift as we continue moving into the digital transition. Let's keep going down the line. What are the ones we've seen here? We talked about VLDR. Let's keep going to some other ones here. What are we looking at? I don't know what's standing out to you. Anything standing out to you, Chris?
No, I was gonna peek at the down ones right now.
Yeah, let's take a peek.
So I'm seeing Outlet down 14%, OWLT and up, Wheels Up down 11%. The thing I'll note, Mitch, with both of those stocks is they both filed S1s yesterday for the pipe as well. So that could be investors getting ahead of the possibility of more selling of the pipe shares here. Although with both of these trading under $10, I don't know how much selling we get from the pipe investors, but definitely something to keep on watch here with both of those in the red.
Yeah, if these are taking a dip, also keep your eyes on B-Fly. That could also take a dip too. I know it's been going up, but I just got to keep an eye out on this one. This one actually looks set up correctly. The real key is, can we get through the 12? Outlet really taking the hard dip. You heard about the S1 there, up. I would definitely maybe stay away. B-Fly, if it can get through 12, can it hold 12? If not, yeah, we could try to tack down these lows again. Another one that I saw moving that some people are starting to pay attention to is Astria. I think this is going to move sideways from here. You've been kind of stuck in these levels between 11 and kind of down towards 950. Kind of got to get out of that trend to get to see this stock actually make a move. All right, that's probably going to do it on the watch list. Let's go ahead. Let's jump right into our biggest mover of the day. Talk about what happened there, at least from what we saw. And Chris, I know you've been talking about these for a while. What in the world happened around 4 a.m. this morning? LWAC taking off to the moon, had a high there of 69.55. I mean, come on. That's a monster move. What happened there, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, not bad for a stock that was trading under $10 yesterday, right? To go all the way to 70 today. So, guys, this is a move that we're seeing become a trend, and it's something that you should watch, but also something you should be very careful with. And I'll point out exactly why, because the trend doesn't last. All right. It's a 1 day trend in most cases. So, LWAC shares were halted several times today. Right now, we're up 164%. But earlier, I had an article out talking about why it was up 250%. And as Mitch said, almost touching $70 this morning. It was actually up more than that prior to my article coming out. So LWAC merged with Effector Therapeutics. So this is a biotech deal, company looking to treat cancer. Now, at the time of the merger, the deal valued the company at $419 million and included a $60 million pipe from investors that included Pfizer. So when LWAC had its offering, it raised 175 million, selling 17.5 million shares. So keep that number in mind. 17.5 million shares is what it had. So then we got our buddy Julian Klimachko tweeted out last night that during their merger vote, 16.98 million LWAC shares were redeemed. 97% of shares were redeemed during the merger vote. Klimachko said that's the highest redemption rate he's ever seen. So what happened was then you got this low float stock, right, with $5.2 million remaining in the trust and around 525,000 shares in the float. So this is a stock that overnight went from having 17.5 million shares in its float to 525,000 shares in its float. I mean, talk about low float and talk about a drastic move. But also this means that LWAC, the SPAC, as they complete that deal with Effector is going to get way less cash than they originally anticipated, which means that they could need to raise cash down the road, right? They did this merger. They went public to get funding to help with those cancer drugs that they have. So this move's been happening recently. Some that I have pointed out, we saw Hellbiz, HLBZ, shares hit $25 during that merger process after seeing heavy redemption. But if you look at ticker HLBZ, are shares trading at $25 today? No, they're trading at $7. So this is an example of why you don't want to be caught in this trade. You want to, if you're going to do it, you want to get in, you want to get out, right? This is a day trade, a swing, a low float. And as you saw with shares halted today, you can actually get caught in those halt. Another one that happened was Wheels Up, ticker UP. So shares hit $15 after seeing a redemption rate of 56%. Where are shares of UP now? You saw it during our watch list. They're less than $8. So HLBZ and UP are two examples of ones where they got the pop due to the heavy redemption. And then also another stat from Julian, just to find out exactly how this is happening, is that in June, 32 deal votes happened in SPAC land, right? They had an average redemption rate of 25.5%. In July, 26 deal votes, the average redemption rate 47%. And in August, 14 deal votes as of August 21st with an average redemption rate of 59%. So you're seeing since June, the redemption rate has more than doubled. More examples, we've got SPIR, LIDR, and RNW. And one that I pointed out before and we talked about on the watch list was SNAX. That was one that had a low float because it had heavy redemption, but it didn't get the pop. So that's the other thing to keep in mind is they don't always pop just off of this, right? It takes awareness that they have a low float. So someone has to, pay attention to that. You have to ultimately have buyers and sellers, right, to take advantage of this move. So I don't think it is for people that are new to the swing trade or the day trade game. But it's something to keep an eye on, right? If you see the heavy redemption rates, the stock could go up, but it could fall back down just as quickly on the back end. So if this is a company like Effector that you want to be in it for the long run, I would sit on the sidelines right now and wait till these shares come down. And as I said, I think Effector is going to need to raise money on the back end of the SPAC deal getting completed. What do you think, Mitch? What do you make of all this? I mean, huge move we saw today. We kind of expected it, right, with that heavy redemption rate, but I did not expect, I don't even think, this amount. So a big move.
Massive. I mean, that's the one way to put it. One thing that's very important, and I think you need to start paying attention to these, is we need to start paying attention the day prior if we're getting an imbalance being put in towards the close. A lot of times you see that show up on the chart with a volume candle really close towards the close. Here you're getting it at 556, and we didn't get much there. There was like a couple thousand shares that people were putting in here, but it wasn't really much. But one thing you can point out is as soon as 4 a.m. hits, that's when the stock starts trying to take that move. So if you're into this kind of trade, this means that you need a brokerage that allows you to trade at that time. Because if you're not allowed to trade at that time, guess what? You could be staring at your phone all you want. You could be staring at your computer all you want. But if you can't get out, it's not really a profit. And so that's what you need to do first. Set yourself up in the advantage that you know that you can put orders out there at that time. When you put in orders out at that time, a lot of the times the liquidity is very low. There's not many shares trading at that time. So what you're going to see is jumps in the prices. That's why you're seeing this stock and it jumps. You're seeing gaps up because of the liquidity. And so with that being said, you also can't be too greedy on a stock like this on two sides, trying to get an entry and trying to get an exit. This is the one that you got to try to get the meat in the middle, because if you try to get this whole move, a lot of times, I mean, you're going to see the stock get on up there, and then the crackdown is a huge gap. I mean, from here, you were at 49, you trade down to 47. The next minute, you're already down towards a high of 40.11 and a low of 34. And so this is what it means. You might need to be taking profits really quickly into this move. Pay attention to the level 2. Where is the buyers and sellers sitting? Because this is how you're going to go ahead and attack maybe on the bid side, get your profit, and then get out of the trade. Definitely not a easy trade to take, but one of those that you have to understand how level 2 works, how the market depth looks in the stock, and then you can attack a stock like this. This is why I always talk about that you need the information, right? If you don't have full market depth, if you don't have order execution, that can even come into play here, because it's not going to be that you can get it on every exchange and get that price that you want. You might need to take a different exchange and a lower price. And so this is why I also recommend having direct market access if you are a day trader and you need that kind of skill and that kind of execution when you're going to put in your orders. Definitely one that if you don't pay attention at 4 a.m., by the time you come in the morning and you got here at 7 a.m., the trade's already done. So with that being said, Chris, are they highly risky? Yeah, they're highly risky. Can you make money on it? I mean, we've seen quite a few of these make massive returns. So can you make money? Yes. It's going to be a quick trade. So not for the kind of the faint of heart. And if you're a day trader, I mean, yeah, why not keep one of these on radar, especially when you're hearing the redemptions like we heard from Julian Kamachka.
Yeah, and I'll try to share and retweet Julian's redemption rates out there. Those are coming directly from the filings from the company, and this isn't something the companies put out in a press release, right? If you're a Effector, you're not putting out a press release saying 97% of shares were redeemed. It's something that's buried in a filing. You have to dig through and find it, right? But again, I mean, Mitch, if I look at it, it looks like LWAC was halted, 2 or 3 times today. I hate halts, right? If I own a position and it halts, oh man, I get nervous, right? Because right away there you can't touch it, right? You got to sit, you got to play the timer game, and you got to wait. And that's risky, right? Because you could immediately see shares drop. That's the risk, right, on the halt. And again, if you're doing this as a swing or a day trade, you're trying to make a quick profit. But I mean, this thing can drop so fast. If you look at the LWAC chart, I mean, you see it, right? It hit almost $70, right, at what, 5:26, 5:30 a.m. And then it came way back down. Then it had one more spike. And since then, it has essentially just gone, near straight down. It's had a couple mini spikes, but really it's just kind of, followed that down curve. So, if you didn't get in early, you're chasing here. And again, I don't think this is more than one day, right? Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, but after that, these shares could go under $10 so fast, right? And as I said, they're going to have to raise money, right? I mean, I would expect a raise to come, in the near term. And also when the pipe shares get unlocked, then the float's going to raise, right? So then it's not going to be as low flow as it is now. I mean, this is just one of those vehicles where, again, we're pointing out the trend, but this is high risk. And as I said, it doesn't happen with all of them, right? SNAX, I thought this was going to happen with that one, right? It had heavy redemption. It had a low float. And it really never got above that $10 level. And now it's trading at $7. So if you bought in based on that, you're underwater now. So, these are, again, high risk trade idea that we're throwing out there. Please, take this with a grain of salt and make sure your risk reward. And I got to say, I saw Raz in the chat, Mitch. Thank you, Raz, for acknowledging 1 year anniversary yesterday with Benzinga, Mitch. Can you believe it?
You didn't even give me a chance. That's where I was going, Chris.
Oh, man. So I jumped the gun. I saw Raz, so I had to acknowledge it because I saw everyone in the chat now saying congratulations. Thank you, everyone. All right, Mitch, what do you got?
All right, well, I'm just rolling through the chat. You can keep going.
So Mitch, I got to give you a shout out too, right? So my 1 year anniversary, I started with Benzinga. I was a writer, and here came this idea to do a SPAC show and get into video. And here you had me who had never done video before, right? And Mitch pushed me, right? He helped me grow with Benzinga, and now you have me doing video Monday through Friday. I also have another show 2 days a week now talking NFTs. I'm featured on some of the other videos, with you and others, talking stocks, talking SPACs, talking everything, right? I mean, we even talked beer the one day, Mitch. We're talking everything. So shout out to you for helping me grow with Benzinga. And I couldn't be happier to be with this great team for the past year. And Mitch, it's just beginning, right? Benzinga is ready to take off. I'm on this rocket, right? And we're going to go, all the way to the moon here with Benzinga.
Hey, there's only one way, and that's definitely build. And that's what we're doing here. I remember when Chris first came into the company, I was super excited. I love the passion the guy has. And that's really what it's all about. I always talk about how, we can all have skills. We can all bring that to a team. But I think there's nothing really better than passion. I think that's why Chris and I were brought on in the first place, that we have passion for what we do. We talk stocks, but we don't only just involve like, hey, we want to make picks. We want to know different industries. I know Chris knows gambling really well, knows NFTs, knows SPACs. I'm really into basket trading. I know a little bit into the sectors, the industries. And this is what it's about, guys. We always can improve and get better by bringing each other inside this community and helping each other get to that next level. Let's go ahead and hit that like button. Let's get to 200. I want to see 200 likes today. Support Chris's 1 year anniversary, and we can keep going.
And Raz also mentioning that background, Mitch. I mean, who could forget some of our early videos, Mitch? You and I both, right? Before we had these cool colored screens behind us, I was on a couch. I had some cats at one point in some of the videos, and now here we are with this nice lighting. You've got that nice monitor behind you. I mean, this show is only growing. Yeah, SPACs have died off a little bit, but that's why we're here, right? We're here to talk about the winners, talk about the losers, talk about the trends we're seeing, and then also we're going to keep growing video content. So if there's other videos you want, Benzinga is the place to be, right? We've got shows 8 a.m. to 5, 6 p.m. most days. Like I said, I've got an NFT show now talking NFTs. We've got day trading shows. We've got shows, covering crypto. We're all over the place, Mitch. So Benzinga is the place to be.
Definitely. At the end of the day, one thing that I can tell you is that Benzinga definitely brings it with not just one personality, right? We're all, and Raz says this all the time, we're all the co-founders here. We decide where we're going. And the reason why is because we have the ability to experiment. This show itself was an experiment to start off. And I mean, I remember, Chris, when we first started, these SPACs are going insane. I had to tell myself, don't trade them, Mitch, because I even felt like I was a pumper at that point, because these stocks are going up 40, 50, 60, 70% in days from you and I talking about it. And I got to say, where we're going to go to, I don't know. But I definitely think somewhere down the line, we're going to get another SPAC wave. I think Chris believes this also. There's always waves to this game. It's okay to get a down wave as long as, like crypto. For a while, it went away. And guess what? It's back stronger than ever. So I think that just stay tuned. This is the show you want to be at, guys. This is where the information definitely nails down in the SPAC industry. And I don't think there's any show that's going to get you right on the information that you need to make that trading decision when it comes down to it. All right, let's go ahead. Let's take some SPACs from the chat. Hit the thumbs up, you guys.
Smash that like.
If there's nothing, let's do it.
If there's nothing more that I want for my 1-year anniversary, it is for you to be a subscriber to Benzinga's YouTube channel. So if you're new here, or if you've been watching the show and you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe. It'll be a great 1-year anniversary present. And also, please like this video. Let's get to 100 likes right now. And Mitch, let's start taking some tickers out of the chat. If we can get to 100 likes, I think we can get there, relatively quick here. We've got lots of viewers, but we still haven't hit 100 likes, guys. Come on, let's get those likes up. Let's go.
All right, let's keep it going. Let's see what is going on out there. I'll tell you what. One just moved from about middle of my watch list to the top. So smash that like. I'll give it to you as we get over that hurdle there. Let me check where we're at on that hurdle.
Oh, I think I see it.
Can we get it? Can we get it?
I think I see it. I think it has to do with that other show that I'm part of.
Smash the like. You guys know it. You know it. We've been looking at this, and I even heard the person that did some of the NFTs behind this company came out with a kind of a walkthrough art / NFT where he sold pieces connected. Can anybody get that right? Can anybody in the chat? Anyone know who I'm talking about?
I know the ticker because I just saw it on the watch list. And, like I said, that we're seeing stocks with this trend up today. And we should have known, Mitch, that was going to happen. This is one that sometimes trades as a sympathy. Can I say it yet? We're not quite at 100 likes. So
we got 96. We need 4 more, guys. If not, I may have to just cut Chris off here. You guys smash that like, support us. We got over 366 people watching right now. You guys do us the favor, enjoy our show, smash the like, and let's get into it. I'm seeing 97. I'm pretty sure we'll break it here. You guys break that resistance.
103, we got it.
Boom, baby.
Mitch,
that resistance broken. Let's take a look at the breakout.
Before you tell us that ticker, I think it's in the NFT space a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. We saw NFTs moving. If you want to hear more about NFTs, I do have the show, The Roadmap, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 2 p.m. Eastern time. But we've talked about DraftKings, right, getting into NFTs. We've talked about Funko getting into NFTs. You're seeing these companies that already have real revenue, right, expand into NFTs. So some stocks move as pure play NFT companies, but then you get the sympathy companies like this one, Playboy, where they have real revenue and they're also expanding into NFTs. So Mitch, yeah, this thing was in the middle of the pack, and now we're up like 9% today, 9.5%.
Look at this. From about 11.20, we've gone from about 23.40s. You could say 23.50s to make it easy there, all the way up towards 25.40. That's a nice big move there for Playboy. One of the things to note here is 99,000 shares traded right here on the 11:23 candle here. We'll see if this one continues to run, but let's take a look at the daily. I do believe that they're going to be coming out with their next round of NFTs soon enough. I don't know if you've heard anything particular towards that, Chris, but I know that when they first came out with them, the idea was to go from artist to artist with the NFTs. They already had different artists named in their perspective when they brought out the NFT talk. So that's what I'd be looking for. I don't know which particular artist is next, but we first started with Slime Sunday. There's some others that are already been named. The question is, when are they coming out? Chris, do you have any idea when they're supposed to come out?
I have not heard a date, but Mitch, I'll say, right, as someone who's followed the NFT market, I mean, it couldn't be hotter. But with that being said, we also know, look what happened to SPACs, right, that the momentum can go away. So if I'm Playboy, right, you want to do these NFT launches right. You want to have good artwork, but you also want to keep up with the trend, right? So if I'm Playboy, I want to get those NFTs to market, right? Visa just, bought an NFT. Budweiser just bought an NFT. You're seeing eBay, you're seeing Facebook say that they want a piece of the NFT platform and market now. I mean, if you're Playboy, put these NFTs out to capture that additional revenue. And Mitch, like you said, they already had artists lined up. It's not new. They started with Slime Sunday. They've got more. So it's not like they're starting from scratch. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a announcement soon from them. So keep Playboy on watch. And again, it's going to trade as a sympathy NFT play. That's not going to be the majority of their revenue, but it's a nice little cherry on top at this point.
Yeah, I went to go look to see if for any reason we gotten some kind of releases. We haven't seen anything come out on their Twitter or anything that I wanted to see. Maybe an NFT kind of hint out there. No hints right now. If you guys know why Playboy's moving, definitely throw it in the chat. I tried to look for it right now, but I can't see a particular reason. But hey, just follow with them. I know they release a lot of stuff on their Twitter, and you can keep with them when they release that NFT talk. All right, that's probably going to do it right there off on Playboy. That was just a nice spike that I saw move from the middle to the top of the pack today. So if you guys got a stock in the chat, you guys want us to take a look.
Yeah, drop those tickers, guys. Drop the tickers in the chat.
Looks like you got to take a look at Funko later on your NFT show or something.
Definitely. Funko has NFTs coming out August 31st featuring Big Boy, the restaurant company that Mitch, fun fact, my first job ever. Big Boy restaurant.
You must be feeling that nostalgic right there.
Definitely. And my kids want to get some of those Funko NFTs. So I'll be following that on August 31st.
All right. So one being mentioned here, Hall of Fame here. So HOFV, let's take a look here.
Yeah, so HOFV, that's another sympathy NFT play, right? They released some NFTs of some members of the Hall of Fame that also won the Heisman Trophy. They also, Mitch, I saw, made some hires in the sports betting space. Remember when we had the CEO on, he talked about how if Ohio legalizes sports betting, Hall of Fame Ventures wanted to get in on the action, and it looks like they're betting on that. The big questions will be, when is Ohio going to legalize, and how many bet companies are they going to allow, right? That's another big factor, right? Look at your state, Colorado. I think there's like 20 companies that have licenses there. Michigan, we have 14. And then you've got states like New York where they're saying, no, we're only going to allow like 3, 4, 5. So if Ohio allows a bunch, I think Hall of Fame Ventures could get a piece. But if they don't, you're going to see Hall of Fame Ventures try to partner, with one of the larger operators, but definitely something to watch. And what's right around the corner that Hall of Fame Ventures could gain some momentum on? The NFL season. So that could be why we're seeing shares move today too.
Yeah, it's not a bad one. Look here. It's come down all the way towards support. Support was near that 266. So I'll keep watching that level right down here. You guys can see that on the screen. And to me, it just stands out because, I mean, one of the things is you're going to start seeing more releases of NFTs. I think as you see the second wave, you've been seeing another wave of NFTs. And with that, I mean, DLPN, I saw also, which is another kind of NFT player, was moving on up. So when I see that one move on up, I pay attention to HOFV also. I feel like they run hand in hand. So just keep your eyes on these two plays. There's some relationship there. I don't know how highly correlated. I would have to
I think
put them
they
in
partner.
statistics.
I think Dolphin provides the technology for those NFTs.
That's
The Hall of
that
Fame.
could be it.
Yeah, so they
What
do
they
go
call the
hand in hand.
underlining asset, right? They
Yep.
call it the underlining asset. What's behind the play? Perfect example there.
Definitely.
All right, so let's go with the chat. What other ones we getting mentioned? I see some non-SPACs. I'm gonna try to avoid those.
Yeah, drop those SPAC tickers. You just got a
even though
couple. You got a
love
couple
talking about them.
non-SPACs, but let's try to.
CRHC. This guy Sammy's been talking about it. Let's bring it up for Sammy. Let's take a look.
Yeah, so CRHC is still searching, as far as I know, and
Sammy
has not found a target.
I'll be honest with Sammy. I actually owned this one at 990s, was holding it for so long that I kind of got out of it just because when we were getting this downtrend, I used that capital to go into other stocks. But I understand why you might have a position in this one. It does have a lot in the market cap. But what are the unicorns still out there? And that's the real question is, are there any high quality purchases that could be made?
Yeah, and this is one from Gary Cohn. You know, he's a longtime Goldman Sachs investor. And like you said, Mitch, I mean, I think they have over $800 million in their trust. So they're going to go after a bigger company. But right now, I mean, we're just seeing these companies not pop on deal announcement. And at this point, if you're buying CRHC, you're just kind of parking your capital that maybe could go other places. So at this point, I'm waiting to see the targets announced. And not really looking at as many of the pre-deal SPACs.
All right, catching up with the chat, trying to find another ticker here for us to knock out here. Seeing some people talk about DM. Let's see what's going on with it. See, we're seeing a bottom. Now, I've been talking about this one. I've been waiting for a sideways month, at least a monthly candle that doesn't look red. As you guys can see, the red months have just really been tough on DM since about February 1st. So until that turns around, for me, it's not a play. But let's take a look at the weekly, see if we're starting to see a green candle show up. Yep, you get a little bit of a green candle. You're really not past last week's high, which was 839. So you'd want to see that break out through there to kind of show that bullish engulfing look. But for right now, it's kind of a hold off for me. You're talking DM. Let me, who was it that put that up in the chat? There you go. Backyard. I got you. But yeah, so until we get through that 839, it's still not in a bullish trend for me. Even if you look at it on the daily and you see a bounce, we need to get through some levels first for us to really start looking bullish in this stock. And also low volume on that bounce, not like the high volume that you got washing out from the 12th.
Mitch, I'm seeing someone mention RKLB, Rocket Lab. So first day of trading today, right? Remember, this was VACQ. We just talked about it yesterday, and we got a bit of a dip. Shares went from about 1160. They did actually touch 998, it looks like, Mitch, on the 52-week low, and then they came back up. So we did actually hit that $10 level. Remember, this is one I mentioned yesterday. You know, we talked the flip side today, right? LWAC saw 97% of shares redeemed. Well, VACQ, which was trading around $10, how many of their shares were redeemed during the vote? Less than 3%. So here you had investors that said, no, I want to stay in RKLB. I like this as a space stock. So, you know, the float stayed similar. But also, I think there's going to be some long-term investors in this one going forward. And they do have some catalysts coming, right, with missions to Mars and certain planets. So definitely something to watch. But today, the first day of trading, you're seeing those volume bars there. So we'll kind of see where this one ends at the end of the day if we can stay green. And I would really like to see it stay above that $10 mark.
Good question being brought up here, and we can talk about it. Sammy, we got you. If you ever got a stock, just let us know. We'll definitely take a look. Yeah, Bill. I mean, come on. That red bar, that's called a knife. Who wants to catch that? It's really hard to catch. I can't blame you. But, I mean, the $10 level held pretty well there. I mean, if you hold down towards the low prior to this, you can hold down towards that 992. Not a bad attempt there, but without a doubt, that's a hard red candle to take. Great question here, Chris. So what do you, we can just kind of have a little conversation about this while we end here. So last year, I mean, around this time is when we started really seeing DraftKings really take off. We started seeing some other SPACs really come out. I think that's when we even had, I can remember LCI. And then we also had DMYD come out around this time. And so what are you thinking here? Do you think that we could have some maybe a rotation coming back into it going into the winter? What are your feelings?
Yeah, for me, I definitely think there could be some seasonality. Mitch, the thing I'd like to see to really get, some more momentum back in SPACs, we're starting to see, right? We're seeing less offerings, right? We're seeing, whereas before we got, 10 new SPACs every day. Now we're getting less than 10 a week. I'd like to see lower number, right? We still have hundreds of SPACs out there that are searching for deals. The other thing I like seeing is we're getting some of these valuations changed, right? We're seeing valuations lower on previously announced deals. I think that could really be beneficial to shareholders. If you're a company, would you rather cut your deal terms now and then, go public at $10 and see your shares go up? Or would you keep the valuation what it is and then see your shares go from $10 to $5 because people say, hey, you're overvalued? I mean, for me, I think I'd rather take the hit now and build that momentum going up. I mean, you never want to make your company less valuable, but I think it's important to make sure your shareholders are aligned with your long-term growth. After all, you put out a presentation, right, that says this is what we're going to do over the next 5 years. As you see with LWAC today, they put out that 5-year plan that said, hey, we're raising this much money. This is what we're going to spend it on. 97% of shares were redeemed. It's back to the drawing board for them now, right? What do you do now that you have 97% less capital to complete that plan? So I really would like to see some better deals, some better valuations. We need to see this redemption rate come down. As I said, the redemption rate in August is over 55%. It's double what it was in June. I mean, if you go back to last fall, Mitch, the redemption rate was hardly anything, right? Because SPACs were all trading over $10. Who was going to redeem shares, for 11 or redeem shares at 10 when they were trading at 11? So, and then the other thing is there's the overhang with the SEC right now in the lawsuit for PSTH. I think we need to get that resolved. I think Bill Ackman needs to figure out what he wants to do with PSTH, get that aside from the rest of the SPACs. And then if the SEC is going to regulate SPACs, they just need to do it. They need to put the rules in place instead of saying, hey, we want to make, new regulation. This is what we might do. If that's the case, just do it. So the market can realign, they can readjust. I mean, Mitch, you saw what the warrants did, right? When the SEC decided to reclassify warrants, it delayed everything. We got so many vote delays, and now you're still having companies reclassify their valuation, when they put out earnings. It just happened with a couple companies. I feel like even SoFi, right? They had to reclassify their warrant valuation. So then their earnings per share were way less than expected because of the new SEC regulation. So let's get the SPAC market realigned. Let's get less SPACs and let's get better valuations on these deals. That's what I think more than seasonality is. It needs to be some changes, but I do think we could have a good fall, if some of those changes happen. That's what I'll be looking for. What do you think?
I think there's always going to be winners and losers in here. I think at the end of the day, that's what this was about in the first place. When we first started, we talked about that, hey, it doesn't mean that every SPAC is just going to be a positive company, right? I mean, when new IPOs come, we don't treat them all the same, right? And so we have to look at these companies by company by company. Maybe you can fit them into a basket by industry, like the space SPACs. You could put those together. Maybe the sports gambling SPACs. those at least are in the same industry, giving you an advantage when you go ahead and combine them to diversify. But at the end of the day, there's going to be winners and losers here. And so I think what you have to do is you have to have a separate account here for this, because this is more of an investment, not necessarily a trade. And you got to take some risk. I mean, that's the truth. If you're going to get into these companies, you're taking risk, because a lot of them have gone down below that $10 level. Unless you're grabbing a stock underneath that $10 level, then I think you are taking a risk. Now, is this a bad risk to take? No, because some of these companies, if they're able to meet their expectations, their growth are usually set at what, 40, 50%. And so, I mean, if your company is going to grow 40 to 50% yearly, I mean, we could just be honest. That is spectacular, not just great. So I'm paying attention to those. I think there is going to be some winners. There's going to be some losers for sure. And so you have to start looking at these companies and seeing, can they meet their expectation? That's what has always been said about SPACs. And I think that's what we need to pay attention to. And a lot of these came out in what? Early 2021, if not late 2020. And a lot of them put out a really big look towards 5 years out. So that's the time that I'm really looking to see SPACs become massively hot again. Now, of course, we're talking 3-4 years from now, but that's my expectation. And so with these being said, you can't look at these also like a 3-month investment. You have to at least, I think, start looking at these in longer terms so that you can get that advantage of the long-term growth aspect that's being looked on the stock.
Definitely. And the other thing is maybe, like I said, with valuation, some of these pre-revenue SPACs, they just need to get ignored. Maybe those aren't the place to invest right now. And you'll see the valuation change. To me, I'm looking at these companies, like a DraftKings, like a SoFi, right? They have real revenue. They're reporting earnings, right? When you say their quarterly financial results, they're actually showing money. They're also talking about guidance, So again, as Mitch said, we've said it all along. There's going to be winners. There's going to be losers. Know your risk reward. Don't get caught, just investing in these right now. They're not all going to go up. That was once the case for a limited time, but that has gone away. We do this show because there's great companies going public via SPAC. It's another way to go public to raise money. There's great companies out there. There's so many great privately held companies still out there, Mitch. I mean, and we're going to see some of them go public via SPAC and provide investors a way to get in on their growth. And I think that's huge. So enough for today. Those were some great questions, Mitch. I'm always happy to talk, our opinions, right, on what's to come. So shout out to the chat again for the great questions and for congratulating me on the 1-year anniversary with Benzinga. We look forward to more SPACs Attack shows. I know some people at the start of the show, Mitch, were dropping tickers in. Maybe they wanted to hear about AMC or GameStop. I got great news. Coming up next, Power Hour. I know they're going to be talking about AMC and GameStop, Mitch. I also think I heard that maybe they're going to be talking some options today. Do you know anything about that on Power Hour?
Always. I'll tell you one thing that they do is they actually trade more on options in Power Hour than they do in common stock. So if you like that, if you like some hype names, you want to hear about AMC. I know I saw some Sundial, some other stocks like that being mentioned in the chat. That's where you want to go ahead and bring it. They'll definitely cover it. Last thing before we go, Chris, it looks like the only thing I found on Playboy was that new hospitality experience in India. Pretty much they want to open up, like, let's say, Playboy lounges, beer gardens, cafes, and do this all under the Playboy brand umbrella. So we're looking at an international expansion news. Now, of course, this is a very early look towards this expansion. So we have to get some more news on this. But as you can see, investors are reacting positively to this news today.
Yeah, definitely. That could be the reason why. And, Playboy, they've got a strong brand. So they're more than capable of growing internationally with some of those experiences. So big news for them. Something to look for, definitely.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Like always, smash that like, support us as we always do. This is just for informational purposes only, not for investment advice. And come on, guys. How much information do we give you? Support us. Let us get to 150. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to bring you over to the Power Hour. And with that being said, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.